So, I've heard that you want to increase your vertical jump. If so, then you've come to the right place. My name is Jake Gomez, and I'm a 15-year-old high schooler whose dream is to become a professional level volleyball player. Now, 2 years ago from now, I'd fractured both of my tibias in my knees and had to stop intensely working out for a few months. However, through this time, I found my love and inspiration for volleyball as I watched an amazing spiker by the name of Yuji Nishida jump so high that he looked like he was flying with his own pair of wings. Now, with this, my inspiration to jump high had begun. However, you can't just go and train randomly. You have to learn what jumping high actually looks like. And what better way to do this by analyzing elite athletes like Yuji Nishida. In the video we see here, Nishida uses a 4-step approach, which is commonly used behind the 10-foot line, which allows him to build momentum and convert it into vertical power for his back row hit. In Nishida's approach, he starts somewhat controlled in his first 2 steps, then explodes through his penultimate and his final steps, which is where most of his speed and force are obviously generated. The penultimate step helps lower his center of mass, allowing his body to apply more force into the ground during takeoff, while the final step is quick and powerful to redirect that forward momentum upward. Secondly, let's talk about his arm swing. In his first 2 steps of his approach, Nishida keeps his arms in front of his body to stay balanced and prepared. As he hits his penultimate step, he aggressively pulls his arms back, almost like he's loading a pair of wings. Then, at takeoff, he violently swings his arms upward and forward, which helps increase takeoff velocity and overall jump height. This arm swing plays a huge role in adding power by increasing momentum and raising the center of mass during his jump. Now, finally, the landing mechanics are just as important. When Nishida lands after his jump, he typically comes down on one foot before settling into both. This helps absorb force and maintain balance after jumping high and far above the net. This controlled landing reduces stress on the joints and allows them to recover quickly for the next play. Now, to conclude, you won't always hit the perfect jump, but to perform an effective one, you need a controlled approach that builds speed, a fast and aggressive arm swing, strong force application into the ground, and a stable landing. Now, using what we now understand, let's move on to what I did personally to increase my vertical jump. First things first, we need to talk about nutrition. Everyone's diet obviously won't look the same, as everyone's body and training load are all different. But I'll explain what worked for me so you can apply the same principles. At the time of doing my project, I'm a 15-year-old who's 5'7" and was around 160 pounds and training at a high volume. Using the NSCA and the ISSN athlete guidelines, I calculated my daily calories and macronutrients, such as proteins, carbs, fat, and calories. Now, to estimate calories, a good starting point is multiplying your body weight by 16 to 18 calories per pound, which is typically for high activity adolescent athletes. Protein intake should be around 0.7 to 0.9 grams per pound of body weight per day. Now, this supports muscle repair, recovery, and growth. Foods like meat, fish, eggs, yogurt, and other dairy products make it easier to hit these numbers consistently. But when it comes to fat intake, you should make up to 20 to 25% of your total daily calories. you want to prioritize mostly unsaturated fats like fatty fish, olive oil, nuts, eggs, and avocados, while still understanding that some saturated fats are okay in moderation. Dietary fats are very essential for hormone production, joint health, brain function, and overall recovery, especially when training hard after practice or a game. Now, finally, your carbohydrates are the main fuel source for jumping and sprinting. Carbs refill muscle glycogen, help maintain intensity during practices and during games, and delay fatigue. A good range is 3 to 5 grams of carbs per pound of body weight, depending on how hard you're training, of course. Higher training volumes per pound or require the end of that range. Foods like grains, potatoes, fruits, and rice are all great carbohydrate sources for your body. Now, for the part that everyone has been waiting for, the training itself. Now, the key here is how you structure your week. I personally would spread my lifting sessions across the entire week leading into the weekend. Now, I would usually lift the day after practice if I had one, and saving plyometrics for before practice so you could train explosive while fresh. My split was into 2 lower body focus strength days, with 1 additional focused on core and arm swing, as these all play a huge role in jump height. But before every lifting session, you must always start with a dynamic warm-up, not heavy weights. This is about activating and loosening up the muscles, especially the hips, glutes, and overall your body. You should spend about 8 to 12 minutes on banded movements and light glute activation so your body is ready to produce force safely, which is the weight. Now, once you're warmed up, you should move into your main strength work. These are the only lifts where I would really go super heavy. Exercises would usually be Romanian deadlifts and squats. These are done for lower reps, usually in the 5 to 7 range, focusing on moving as much weight as possible while keeping perfect form. That's very important. Now, you should always work up through your warm-up sets before hitting your working weight, stopping just short of failure so you're building strength without any unnecessary fatigue. Trust me, I tried it myself. Between working sets, I would recommend taking 2 minutes of rest. Your family, your nutritionist, anyone would all recommend taking 2 minutes of rest. This gives your nervous system time to recover, so it could keep your reps explosive and maintain good form, which are very crucial when training for vertical jump rather than just fatigue. Now, after that, I move into my secondary strength exercises. These are still challenging, but slightly less intense. I would usually choose 1 or 2 movements depending on how you feel. Some of these exercises include hip thrust, Bulgarian split squats, single leg weighted lunges, or hack squats, and rotate them from session to session, depending on how you feel. This keeps the workout from getting too long while still targeting the muscles that directly contribute to jumping power. Now, overall, to finish your working session, you must train calves. No matter how bad it feels or how unnecessary it feels, you have to train calves as they play a big role in force transfer during your takeoff on your jump. Now, I would recommend keeping your calf exercises short and focused, choosing at least one, or 2 if you're feeling extra, calf exercises and training them with heavy but controlled reps. Now that concludes it for the training session. But for your plyos, what do we do about that? Well, for your plyos, I would usually do about 8 to 10 minutes of plyometrics before practice. These include quick, explosive movements that replicate the different jumping directions for volleyball. Sideways, diagonally, upwards, However, the goal isn't fatigue. It's training speed, timing, and coordination as it causes less harm onto your body. Overall, this structure lets you build maximum strength and convert it into explosiveness while recovering properly so you could keep jumping higher over time. Jumping higher isn't just about one magic exercise. It's about doing the basics really well and staying consistent with them over time. By understanding proper jump mechanics, fueling your body correctly, and following a fully structured strength and plyometric program, you give yourself the best chance to increase your vertical jump, as it was exactly the same thing that I did to increase my own vertical. So, if you could apply these same principles with the right patience and effort, you can increase your vertical jump. One last thing, don't forget to stay disciplined and don't forget to trust the process. Most importantly, keep on jumping as your dream will then become a reality. Good luck out there, and I'll see you next time.